It's not often where we talk about an AEW wrestler being unhappy, but this one could actually be very damaging to the company, so we need to discuss this. Also, in addition to that, Nick Khan and the WWE making over $1 billion in 2021. It's the highest revenue ever. We're going to talk about what to expect for 2022, and then also AEW Dynamite ratings have been posted, so we need to discuss that as well. If you guys want more videos like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring the bell. So you might not like Nick Khan, you may not like WWE, you might be a fan that enjoys AEW, and that's totally fine, but there's always this notion that AEW is going to kill WWE, that AEW is going to remove WWE from television, and AEW is going to slaughter their competition. I see this all the time in my comments, and I try to be reasonable with my thoughts. I'm very non-biased. I enjoy all of these companies. However, since Nick Khan has joined WWE, they have made massive amount of money together. In fact, WWE has come out and they've disclosed that after a full year of 2021, they've earned over $1 billion in revenue. In fact, revenues increased 30%, operating income increased 131%. And guys, there is just so much more that needs to be discussed. And of course, WWE is making over $1 billion, yet for some reason they're still releasing talent. And then the word that comes out is that it's due to budget cuts. It's ridiculous. But at the same time, too, WWE's formula is working. No, AEW is not going to put WWE out of business. Even if you don't like WWE's product right now, if you think WWE sucks right now, if you don't watch WWE, I promise you, the proof is showcasing in the numbers. It's being shown in the numbers. That's the showcase right there. Like what WWE is doing is very interesting. And then, of course, for those who know about the metaverse and NFTs and blockchain, that is something that I think WWE is going to be looking into as well. So WWE is just going to continue making more and more and more money, regardless if you like their product or not. And if you don't like their product, it's okay. They don't really care at this point, right? Like I think it's pretty clear they don't care. They're going to keep doing what they're doing. They're going to keep making their money. And that's why we're happy to have Impact in AEW in New Japan and whatnot. So business-wise, WWE is killing it on their product. I've seen an improvement these past few weeks, but for the most part, they got to do some changes. I do want to talk about AEW Dynamite. As you guys know, CM Punk, MJF, the main event match. It went over 40 minutes long. Everybody thought this episode was going to catapult AEW in terms of overall viewership. In fact, that's actually not the case. The show drew 954,000 viewers, down from 1.1 million the previous week. Also, the key demographic had gone down as well. Now, here is what I will say, because you guys know I don't really care to talk about ratings. I don't agree with the system. I think for AEW and WWE, both of them are doing really good despite what this number is. But the reason why I want to mention this specifically is because we were talking earlier in this video about WWE making $1 billion. Now, WWE makes a lot of money for a lot of different reasons, but the thing that generously helps them out is their television deals. So, do I think AEW is going to make $1 billion in 2022? No. Do I think they're going to do that next year? No. Do I think anything will happen in 2024? You never know. But what I will say is this. AEW, regardless if they're hitting 1 million viewers or not, I think they are going to get a lot of TV deal money. And that's the conversation that needs to be had. The conversation about ratings is not really relevant. Any person who truly understands the way television works, they will tell you that ratings aren't the end-all be-all for a company. It's very outdated technology that even generates this type of stuff. But what's really important is making sure that AEW continues to grow in popularity, which, if you look at all these other metrics, they are. So the good thing is, WWE is making $1 billion a year. I'm not saying AEW is going to do that. Not even close. But for anybody who thinks, oh, AEW dropped under 1 million viewers, they can't hit 2 million viewers, this company is going to go bye-bye. You need to really change your understanding of how this business works, because at the end of the day, TV deals are going to be the most important, and Tony Khan and AEW are trending to get a big one next time negotiations end up coming up. So keep that in mind if you guys are somebody who hates WWE or even hates AEW. This whole notion that they're going to go away and disappear, it's false. It's not happening. They would really have to screw up for them to go away, because they are all doing the right things for their audience. Two different audiences. One has a very strict hardcore pro wrestling audience. The other one does not. And both of them are doing what they're supposed to be doing to make sure that their audience is happy with their product and their companies. And that's what matters. And for our final story of the day, I thought this was the most interesting story. I want to give a shout out to my boy, Kid Panda. He is in my Discord server. He passed this along to me. As you guys know, Twitter could be very difficult with translations and stuff like that. So he helped me kind of understand what's happening here. But if you guys are not familiar with this, Emi Sakura, she is in AEW. As you guys know, she is like the bridge for AEW and their Joshi relationships. Very important, by the way, for AEW, because AEW, you know, their women's division kind of struggles a little bit, and then you gotta have good, strong relationships with your surrounding companies. Nonetheless, what's actually ended up happening here is Emi Sakura, she went on Twitter and divulged a lot of things. And you could go on her Twitter, it's still there, and you can translate them. But I just want to read off a couple things because it sounds like she's not happy, and this is kind of concerning. So one of the things that she had tweeted, again, based on Twitter Translate, I had decided to play a match at AEW every week for 2022, but I couldn't achieve it as early as the second week, and there were days where I went to the venue and there was no match. And there were days where I didn't even go to the venue. And last month, I only played one match. There's a recording, but it wasn't broadcast in January, so I was depressed that I wasn't good anymore. The number of people who played today was probably less than 50 in Elevation, Dynamite, and Rampage. About half of these wrestlers are at the venue but haven't played. When I hear this much, I may think that the players are wasteful, that they are wrestlers but do not play games, that they are dissatisfied, and they are thinking about expenses. So basically, based on just those two tweets right there, she's talking about not being used. Another thing that was really interesting. Today, the announcement card was changed on the day, and the unannounced card may be changed due to injury. During practice, for example, the show is being held as if nothing had happened. There are no players on TV, no players, no new local players, no top or bottom. Rather, if you become famous, the number of games will decrease. So basically, if you are not a big name, you are not being used. Now, there is this belief that Emi might be going back to Japan and might be leaving AEW. Now, of course, it's very difficult being a Japanese wrestler in America trying to make it. We've seen this, and it has nothing else to do with other than the speaking thing, right? Like Asuka has mentioned this, other wrestlers have mentioned not being able to know English, not being able to understand English. It definitely plays a role in them not enjoying their experience and stuff. So the thing is, like, when I see something like this, I think the most important thing for AEW right now, especially seeing how lackluster their women's division is to make sure that their wrestlers are happy. At the end of the day, she is not somebody who is used in this prominent fashion, but ultimately, if she is this bridge for your Joshi relationship, then you got to make sure things are right. And again, things, could be lost in translation as well too, but it's just important to understand what's at stake here because we don't hear about this too often. But it does generate this conversation. Should AEW be careful with how many people they're signing because they don't have enough TV time for everybody? And that's exactly what she's talking about. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.